Imagine a familiar situation that perhaps more than 90% of us have experienced at least once in our lives. You're on a fantastic vacation. You step out onto the balcony of a hotel on the 50th floor. The wind is blowing fiercely. You walk to the edge of the railing and look down. The cars look tiny, like ants crawling on a hazy stretch of asphalt. You're wide awake. You're extremely happy with your life. You're not depressed, and you absolutely have no suicidal thoughts. But suddenly, from the depths of your subconscious, an incredibly strange and terrifying thought flashes through your mind. It's as quick as a lightning bolt, but clear enough to send chills down your spine. The thought whispers to you, "What would happen if I put one foot on this railing and let myself fall?" Or perhaps you're not standing on a high-rise building. You're driving a car on a highway at 100 kilometers per hour. Everything is going perfectly normally. But when a huge truck coming from the opposite direction speeds up to the lane markings, your steering wheel shakes slightly and your brain pops into a crazy thought. If I just move the steering wheel 2 centimeters to the left, I'll crash straight into that truck. Or, more simply, imagine you're holding a tiny newborn baby in your arms, and some evil voice in your head says, "What if I open my arms and drop this baby onto the floor?" When those horrific thoughts surface, your immediate reaction is one of extreme panic. You recoil from the balcony. You grip the steering wheel so tightly that your knuckles turn white. You clutch the baby to your chest. Your heart races, cold sweat pours down, and in your shock, you ask yourself, "Oh God, am I going crazy? Why am I having such sick thoughts and wanting to harm myself?" Don't worry. Take a deep breath. You're absolutely not crazy. You have no self-harming tendencies, and you don't need to run to a psychiatrist. That haunting urge to jump into the abyss is a common psychological phenomenon worldwide. The French have a very poetic and cinematic phrase to describe it: l'appel du vide, which translates to the call of the void. For centuries, philosophers have used this phenomenon to debate the thin line between life and death, or the dark self hidden deep within human beings. But modern science doesn't see it that way. Recently, clinical psychologists have given it an official name: HPP, High Place Phenomenon. And most interestingly, a fact that might bring you relief is this: science has proven that this phenomenon has nothing to do with suicidal thoughts. Completely contrary to your fears, the call of the void is actually the strongest, clearest evidence that your body is desperately yearning to live. It's the result of a glitch, an incredibly silly but perfectly designed software glitch in your brain's own survival alert system. To understand this great deception of nature, we need to dissect how the human brain processes information when faced with danger. Our defense system is not a single unified whole, but is divided into 2 parts working at 2 completely different speeds. The first part is a center deep within the brain called the amygdala. This is the system of instinctive reflexes. It's unconscious, rudimentary, but operates at supersonic speed. Its sole task is to scan the surrounding environment, detect threats, and activate the fight or flee mechanism to keep you alive. The second part is the prefrontal cortex. This is the center for logical thinking, consciousness, and calculation. It's very intelligent, but in return, it processes information much slower. Now, let's go back to the moment you approached the edge of the balcony on the 50th floor. When you look down, your eyes register a vast, deep space and a height of hundreds of meters. This visual signal is sent to the brain. The amygdala, that super-fast, instinctive system, receives the data first. It doesn't care if you have a protective railing or reinforced glass. It only sees one thing: high equals death! Now, let's go back to the moment you approach the edge of the balcony on the 50th floor. When you look down,
your eyes register a vast, deep space and a height of hundreds of meters. This visual signal is sent to the brain. The amygdala, that super-fast instinctive system, receives the data first. It doesn't care if you have a protective railing or reinforced glass. It only sees one thing. High equals death! Instantly, in a fraction of a millisecond, the amygdala activates its blazing red alarm. It pumps adrenaline into your bloodstream and roars a single command. Retreat immediately!
Instantly, in a fraction of a millisecond, the amygdala activates its blazing red alarm. It pumps adrenaline into your bloodstream and roars a single command. Retreat immediately! This command was so strong and quick that your body reacted before you even consciously realized it. Your muscles tensed, you recoiled, and took a step back. You had perfectly executed your survival instinct. But the problem begins the very next second. At this point, the slow-thinking, logical reasoning center finally starts loading the data. Your prefrontal cortex looks around and realizes, wait a minute, this building is very sturdy. This railing is chest-high. This glass is triple-layered. I'm perfectly safe. There's no real threat that could push me down. And boom! Cognitive dissonance appears. Your logical system is stuck. It's asking itself, if I'm standing in a perfectly safe place, why did my body suddenly panic and recoil? Why is my heart pounding like I'm about to die? The human brain is a storytelling machine. It hates unsolved mysteries. If the body has an extreme fear reaction, the logical brain has to find a reason to explain that fear. It can't understand the amygdala's lag. So, to rationalize your unconscious recoil, the logical brain concocted the most erroneous and insane story possible. There was no external force pushing me. The railing was perfectly safe, yet I panicked and recoiled. The only explanation for this is, myself had the intention to jump. I stepped back to save myself from myself. Yes, the call of the sky is just a mind-bending illusion. You don't want to jump, you want to live. But because your fear of heights reflexes are so quick and sensitive, your logical brain misinterprets the fear of falling signal as the morbid thought of wanting to jump. In 2012, psychologist Dr. Jennifer Hames published a groundbreaking study on this phenomenon. She discovered that people who frequently experience the call of the void do not have a higher suicidal tendency than the average person. On the contrary, they have the highest anxiety sensitivity. This means their survival system is functioning exceptionally well, exceptionally sharply. They love life and fear death so much that their brains constantly send out false alarms, painting the worst-case scenarios just to ensure their bodies always stay away from the brink of danger. Evolution has given us a wonderful but also troublesome gift. It would rather let you experience a moment of extreme panic with suicidal thoughts than let you carelessly slip and fall into the abyss. So the next time you're standing on a bridge or waiting for a subway train to pull into the station and your brain whispers to you to step into the darkness, don't be afraid. Smile and thank it. It's not a demon inviting you to hell. It's just your loyal gatekeeper in your head, trying everything, even threatening you, to make sure you get home safely.